What steps can I take to align my desires and ambitions with God's will for my personal growth and fulfillment? Yeah, so let's clarify. The first time I asked the robot chat, I just said, give me 10 questions that Christians want to know about God. And their version of number 10 was, how can I experience God's presence and find peace in my daily life? And then I said, because I'm a genius, can you make those questions more personal? And then that turned number 10 to, what steps can I take to align my desires and ambitions with God's will for my personal growth and fulfillment?
I feel like it's so interesting because when I think about any question like that, okay, whether it's like somebody's asking from like a very practical standpoint or not, like what steps can I take to be closer to God, to have more peace in God, to follow God more, to do whatever it is, right? Those are 100% questions that I ask myself all the time. Am I doing enough? And the real question that becomes of like, what's your heart behind it? But I think that the thing that has been brought up before is like, this would be so much easier if it was just legalism. Like if there was just a rule book, right? If there was just a rule book that said yes or no, or like, do these things.
Yeah.
Like that's what that question is asking is like, what are the laws? What are the rules?
And that's the thing though. It's like, I think some of the experiences we've had growing up in church or people have had is like, you just said, I'm looking for the rule book. I'm looking for the directions, the IKEA directions, the roadmap.
Yes.
And
Read
people often
Leviticus.
say that's the Bible.
Right.
How do you respond to that?
What?
That's
Leviticus
the Bible.
is
So
the
you
Bible?
had this question. You had these questions like, you said the canned answer kind of is like, well,
Read the
or
Bible,
what we're
pray
looking
more.
for. Yeah.
I feel like those would be the canned answers is get in the word, go to church, have a prayer life, join a small group, go to church, get in have some fellowship with like-minded people.
Yeah. On the surface, like all those things are good to do.
Yes. All of those
right?
things are great.
What is God's will for your life? People say, I want to align myself. How do I align my desires and my ambitions to God's will for my personal growth
Yes.
and my fulfillment?
Yes.
Well, that's a hard question if you don't know what God's will is.
Correct.
And that's why I think a lot of people were just kind of like shooting off in the dark a little bit of like, maybe I'll do all these things. I'll follow these rules. I'll go to church. I'll join a small group. I'll serve. I'll do whatever.
What makes it easy?
Yeah. I mean, it's a straightforward. There's an answer.
Right. I think to align yourself with God's will, you first have to be aware of what God's will is.
Correct. So
Read the Bible.
that's your answer?
Well, that would be a very general answer. It would be more of, if like somebody actually asked me that, it would be like, what do you mean?
Because you could say to somebody, well, read the Bible. And it's like, well, what part of the Bible are you going to read?
Correct. And it's, what do you mean by that? I think it's also like, and I think it also depends on where like what someone's experience or background is, because I think that does change, because I think if it's somebody who has no experience with the Bible at all, then it's like, go read the Gospels and look at what Jesus did, because Jesus only acted on earth in God's will. And go look at what he did as a human and God on the earth. And just like, that's what you want to read. The Bible's about Jesus anyway, and so go start there, right? But I think that, there are different things that are applicable to different people in Acts. I mean, any of Paul's letters, you could depending on who it is, you could go to Jeremiah, you go but Old Testament, you go to Ezekiel, like depending on what you're, not who it is, but depending on like what the big question is. Like, let's actually dig deeper into what's actually going on.
Yeah.